Welcome to Radio Naturopath, the talk show about health and natural medicine. This show will first be broadcast on Wednesday, November 12th, 2025, on 91.7 FM WHUS Stores. I am Fran Storch, ND, naturopathic physician. My co-host Ron Menizza is yet still doing election stuff. We're coming to you live from beautiful Mansfield Hollow, Connecticut. Comment below to let us know you're here and ask questions. You can also email me at radionaturopath@gmail.com. If you'd like to listen to the show at another time, you can check out our podcast at whus.org, iTunes, Spotify, Patreon, and Buzzsprout. You may also watch the recorded Facebook Live episode at Fran Storch ND for 30 days, and also on my YouTube channel at Radio Naturopath. The views expressed on this program do not reflect the views of the staff, management, or licensee of this station. The information presented on this show should not be construed as medical advice or direction. If you're having a medical condition, please consult with your physician. So before I get into health updates and then into the main topic of the day, I wanted to talk about, as you can see, I got this cool new shirt. It says Salem Apothecary, and I'm very grateful to my friend and staff person, Tina, who decided she wasn't wearing it a lot and thought it would be great for me. And so Salem, like Salem, Mass, where all the witches are, and apothecary, so it's a medicinary where you can get, I guess, herbal stuff and witchy stuff. I mean, I don't know if it's a real place, but it's appropriate for me because as a naturopathic physician, we use herbs and potions and things. So shout out to Tina for giving this to me. Also, I wanted to talk about, how I think I said something about how I've become enamored of the Gilmore Girls, and I had never known about it until this year when I happened upon it because one of the national radio TV stations that we get through our streaming service started playing it, and I started watching it, and I was like, where have you been all my life? And of course, it's the 25th anniversary of the Gilmore Girls, so there's a lot of hubbub about it. And I think I mentioned that I had a mom and daughter come in, and they were bantering, and I said, oh, you've got a Rory and Lorelai thing going on. The daughter, who was 15 years old, laughed. The mom was like, huh? The mom was in her 40s. And the daughter, 15 years old, was all into it. So lots of people are watching it. Of course, you can watch it easily because it's streaming on Netflix. And they're playing it on the Hallmark Channel. They're playing it on Start TV. So there's a lot of places to stream it and watch it. I don't know if you could even stream it on Hulu. I'm not sure. So anyway, so I've been fascinated with it. And then I kind of realized, you know what? I live in Stars Hollow. There are very few places in Connecticut that have the suffix hollow. And there are no municipalities where their name is Hollow. If there is a Hollow, it is a village within an incorporated town. So Mansfield Hollow is a village in Mansfield Center, which is actually a postal region within the town of Mansfield. And like Stores is another postal region, and that's where the university is. And then there's Mansfield Depot that has its own zip code as well in the north of Stores, on the way to I think it borders on Coventry. Anyway, so there are a few hollows. I think there is a Stafford Hollow, and there's a hollow somewhere else in the western part of the state, but none of them are the names of municipalities. And Stars Hollow, which is that is fictional, it's based on the town of Washington, and within Washington there is Washington Depot, and that's a town in Litchfield County. But what's interesting is that when they talk about the surrounding towns in Washington, while you're in the Gilmore Girls, the surrounding towns of Stars Hollow are the same as the surrounding towns of Washington. So it's about half an hour to get to Hartford. And it's the next town over is Woodbury. They're near to Woodbury. And that's all true. And then there was a time when Rory and Lorelai, the car broke down, and they had to head for Route 169 in Naugatuck. And that's a real place, too. That's in the Naugatuck Valley. So it's interesting how that there's real Connecticut stuff in, even though Stars Hollow is fictional. Then I realized I kind of live in Stars Hollow. And so probably if you think about it, if you live in a small town or a smallish town, you have some Stars Hollow aspects to it. So I think of my Stars Hollow as being a combination of Willimantic and Mansfield. because I've lived here for over 20 years now, and I know so many people, and everywhere I go, there are people I know. So I remember on the night of Halloween, I decided to go into downtown Willimantic, and I went to Bliss Boutique and did not realize that Bliss Boutique had some stuff scheduled. They had a fashion show scheduled. So I arrived there a little before 5 when they had the fashion show. So I got to watch the fashion show, and it was hilarious. There were people dressed up with all vintage clothing, and Donna, who works there, was dressed up like a pirate, which was great. And if you came in costume, and I wore some silly outfits and things, some Halloween, nice Halloween shirt, they said you get a discount if you come in costume. So I did. And that was great. And while I was there, I met my friend Cheryl, and Cheryl looked awesome. And she was dressed up as a witch with a terrific leopard bodice. And she had a great big hat on, and she had her hair down and a long skirt. And she looked absolutely beautiful as a witch. And I was very excited to see her. And we chatted, and they were playing music. And then they played the Time Warp. And Cheryl and I got up and we danced together to the Time Warp on Halloween. And that was great. And, you know, I know the owner of Bliss, Kim Cash, so shout out to her. And she was dressed up. I don't know the name of the character. She was dressed up as the blonde in Hocus Pocus. And then one of her employees was dressed up as Kathy Najimy's character. All they didn't have was a Bette Midler. That should have been me, I guess. That's a very funny character. Very funny, because she has this little lipstick right in the middle of her mouth, and it makes her look like she's pursing her lips all the time. And it just looks very silly. That would be a fun costume. But the employee nailed the hair with the big ponytail on the top. It was very funny. So I really enjoyed that. And I was supporting a local business, and I got a discount, and it was just a nice experience. And then I was parked very close to there. So they had the Main Street, trick or treat on Main Street, which is trick or treat on Main Street happens all over the country. Well, it happened in Willimantic, and they usually have it from 5 to 7 p.m. on Halloween night. So I went there because the proprietor of Spiral Arts, the proprietor of Spiral Arts, told me that they were going to have a thriller flash mob, and she said, you know, you should come and see. So I came to see, did not realize that anyone is invited to participate in the thriller flash mob. So I hadn't practiced at all, didn't know I was going to do this. I'm still recovering from surgery, and I was there anyway. So I said, I'm going to do this, and I'll just ice my leg and rest, and I'll be okay tomorrow. So I did. And so it was delightful to see Daniela and her business. And it warmed my heart because Daniela's family was there. All people I love. So Rita, her Aunt Rita was there, and both her parents, Eddie and Wally, were there. And, it was just loads of fun to see them. It just warmed my heart that her family was there. And I chatted with Rita for a while. I had been walking, so I needed to sit down. Rita made sure I had a chair to sit in. And Eddie took me to the bathroom. And it was just really nice. And then they were handing out popcorn. And I helped hand out candy for a little bit. And I got to see all the kiddos with their costumes on. And that was a lot of fun. And then we did the thriller flash mob, and people videoed it from different places. Somebody videoed it from upstairs in an apartment, and so there was a video from way high up, or a couple of videos. And so I'm somewhere on there, not dancing very well because I don't know the moves and I'm injured. So, but it was super fun. And then I took pictures. Kelly, I met Kelly, and Kelly looked awesome as a zombie with bright blue and purple hair down to her waist. When I saw her, I said, hello. And she said, it's me, Kelly. I'm like, Kelly. And I said her last name. And I'm like, yes, that's me. Oh my goodness. And then I kind of remembered that she had told me she was taking dance lessons with Oswaldo. So Oswaldo put together the routine, and he was leading the flash mob. And so it was super fun. It wasn't that hard to do. And I hope next year I get warning and I'll be able to study the moves and be able to participate in the flash mob more fully when I am more healed. And that'll be nice. And then I walked around downtown Willimantic and I took pictures with a few people. I took a picture with Sarita, who is a jeweler at Jules Verne. And I don't know if this was intentional, but she looked like she was dressed up as Zoe Kravitz. And she looked gorgeous. And she put on these beautiful bright, I think they were bright blue sunglasses, and we took a selfie and we made kissy face, and I'm like, is it Sarita or is it Zoe Kravitz? It was hilarious. So I'm like, wow, I know all these people and it's really great. And we have a lot of characters in town between Mansfield and Willimantic, all the way on up to Stores down through Willimantic. We're people are very intense in their political leanings, and we have Protest Square, and we have a Willimantic food co-op, and now we have a lot of establishments on Main Street that people go to. So Willimantic and Mansfield are up and coming, and Willimantic was a lot of fun on Halloween. So I'm like, and there's all these people. I'm like, so who am I? Am I Lorelei, or I don't know if I'm Lorelei. I'm the quirky, smart natural doctor in Mansfield, whoever that is. But I happen to be partners with a leucoid person, because Ron loves to wear flannel. And if you put a baseball cap on backwards, he kind of looks like Luke. But he and his friend agree that baseball caps backward are dumb. So I try to put him on. I put it on him sometimes, and then he gets annoyed and pulls it off, which is something that Luke would do if he didn't like something. So he's kind of a curmudgeonly, hardworking, handy person who would do anything for anybody. So he's got a lot of Luke going on. It's very good. He's very thoughtful and kind and a little grouchy. And so I've got my Luke. So maybe I'm a little Lorelei. I don't know. As you can hear, I'm talking very fast. I do love coffee. I couldn't possibly drink as much coffee as Lorelei because I would be sick. But today I'm going to head over to Silk City, they took over, the Grounded proprietors sold to Silk City. So now we have Silk City in Willimantic, even though we are the Thread City and Silk City is Manchester. So so you probably, if you live in a small town, you may live in Starshollow too. If you have lots of people you love, lots of people you've known for years, lots of characters in your town, maybe there's a little Starshollow in all of us. So us small town folk, especially if you're listening from somewhere in New England. So shout out to me if you're listening to this. Put in the comments what's your experience of Starshollow? What's your Starshollow? And how are you in Starshollow? And which character are you? So all right. So spent a little time in love and appreciation of my little town. I ran into another couple. I ran into a mom and a son-in-law whose partner was dancing in the flash mob, and I told them that I had surgery recently, but I decided to dance anyway, and it was going to hurt me. I didn't know how good this was for my recovery, and she said, but it was good for your spirit, and I was so appreciative of that, because I said that's exactly right. So anyway. All right, so that's what happened when I had a lovely time at Halloween. Ron is still working registrar of voters, so he is not with me today, and his healing is going pretty good. Although he's frustrated because he doesn't feel like he doesn't feel like he's in shape, and his legs still don't have a lot of power. I guess that's going to take time. And for me, I still have the situation where if I use my left leg for a long time, it hurts. It's not nearly the pain I had when I had very acute, extreme femoral neuralgia pain, but it hurts enough that it makes me want to get off it. Fortunately, when I rest, it gets better, and again, it gets better quickly. And if I'm off it, it really doesn't hurt, and I'm able to sleep, thank goodness. And as I'm sitting here talking to you, the other thing that's happening is, sitting, I get stiff when I sit, but that's been for years. But I don't have pain in my back like I did when I'm sitting, that the incision pain is getting better and better. It's not completely 100% because if I stretch it too much, I do feel some soreness. But I'm not thrilled that when I use my leg a lot that I get the nerve pain. So there's still something sitting on that nerve. Hopefully it'll get better. I hope it's just, inflammation. And what my chiropractor said, Dr. Scott, he said the nerve is really angry. It was really messed with during the surgery and it needs time to heal, and nerves take a long time to heal. So more patience, more waiting. I am going to do a float. I haven't done a float since before surgery, so I'm going to do a float on Sunday. Looking forward to going to Yono. Oh, and Angie, who owns Yono, dressed herself up as Chrissy Hind. It was amazing, and she looked so much like Chrissy Hind. So I posted on underneath her Facebook, I wrote, "I like the way you cross the street because you're precious." And if you know, you know. Okay. So anyway, let's talk about what's going on. So here's a big shout out to my dear friend Eric Kelly, who I've been friends with since 1995. No, sorry. That's right. Yeah, 1995. When did I go to Naturopathic College? 1995. Yeah, so I've been close to him since 1995. We were together for a bit, and then we've been friends forever, since then for 20, it's been 30 years. Yeah, so I've been friends with Eric Kelly for 30 years, since 1995. My goodness, I have a few friends like that I've been friends with for like 30 years. That would be people who are still my friends. Valerie Simonson, big shout out, and Stephanie Selman and Francis Fellows, been friends with since Oregon, and I've known them forever. Of course, I got close to my dear cousin Sarah and her husband Mark when I lived. They moved to Oregon in, I guess, right before I left. Oh, I said 1995. It's actually 1991. So I've known them for 34 years. And Sarah moved to Oregon, I think in 94. So I got close to her my last year of naturopathic college, and that was great. So I still keep in contact with them, see them once in a great while when we're in the same region. All right, so here's a shout out to Eric for this topic suggestion. He wanted to know, he said that fasted workouts were giving him low energy and he actually gained some weight. And so I wanted to talk about fasted morning workouts versus fueling before workouts. And you probably know what I'm going to say. Not a huge fan of fasted workouts. So here's an article that I'll pull from NutraWorks. So it's a common question that people face: should they exercise fasted or non-fasted? When you do fasted exercise, you're working out an empty stomach for fasting of at least 8 hours, and non-fasted involves consuming some form of calories for a workout. There is research that shows that fasted exercise alters physiological processes. It increases lipid oxidation during low-intensity exercise training, and your glycogen stores also become depleted much more quickly during fasted exercise, which in turn causes the body to turn to fat to burn for energy. However, research has yet to translate the increase in lipid oxidation to improvements in performance or faster weight loss. Additionally, there's disputing evidence on fasted exercise causing an increase in breakdown of muscle or impacting hormonal balance, especially in females. Ultimately, research shows no difference between body composition and individuals who train fasted versus non-fasted. So, what to do? To eat or not to eat? That is the question. So, there's some situations where maybe it would be a good idea to fast and others or not. So, here's the idea. If you're going to work out for less than an hour, if the workout is lower intensity, like light jogging, walking, or cycling, where your heart rate stays low, 50 to 60% of max. Workouts in which performance is not your main focus. If you need to perform, you're going to need to eat. Shout out to Stacy Sims, Selena Yeager, and Marissa Axel. All right. If you decide to go into a workout fasted, it's crucial to fuel within 30 minutes after the workout for proper recovery, and your recovery meal should have protein, carbs, and fats. The protein will help repair damaged muscle tissue. The carbs will provide energy and replenish carbohydrate stores in your muscles. And the fat will add additional energy as well as support absorption of certain nutrients. So some ideas might be some scrambled eggs with avocado toast and blueberries. And in the evening, maybe some chicken breast, corn, brown rice, and olive oil, or other carb of your choice, quinoa or rice or something like that. Or a healthy pasta, a healthy whole grain or whole bean or cassava pasta. Now that you've learned about fasted exercise, you want to understand the benefits of fueled exercise, where you eat. Your energy levels will probably be enhanced when you have a pre-workout meal of snacks. Thing is, what they said is that if you exercise fasted, you're going to deplete your glycogen stores. And when you deplete your glycogen stores, that's what happens when you have a distance runner who depletes their glycogen stores. When you're running, they call it hitting the wall. What we call it when we're cycling, where you've depleted your glycogen stores because you weren't fueling adequately. So what does that even mean? You have glycogen, which is a storage form of carbohydrate in your liver. And when you eat carbohydrate, you have carbohydrate running around in your blood, and your body's going to go to that first. And when you tap out the carbohydrate in your blood, your body's going to go to your glycogen stores. And if you deplete your glycogen stores during your workout, you're going to, if you're running, you're going to hit the wall. And if you're cycling, you're going to bunk. All right? They're basically the same thing. If you're wanting to perform, you don't want to bunk, and you don't want to hit the wall, and you don't want to deplete your glycogen stores, depending on what else you're doing. So your energy is going to be better if you eat carbohydrate before a workout, and also if you fuel during your workout with carbohydrate. So if the workout is longer duration or higher intensity, you want some carbohydrate. If you want to perform, you need some carbs. It doesn't have to be, chocolate. It doesn't have to be peanut butter cups. It can be apples. It can be, any kind of fruit. It can be a protein bar that has carbohydrate in it. So you want to preserve muscle. When you have adequate carbohydrates, your body's not going to dip into other sources. It's not going to dip into your fat stores right away as much, but it also isn't going to dip into your muscle stores. If you're trying to build muscle, which people generally are when they're doing any kind of workout, if you are underfueled, you're going to burn your muscle stores, and you don't want to do that. I mean, especially if you're getting older, you have a tendency to sarcopenia, muscle loss anyway. So you want your workouts to be effective to keep you keep going and to maintain and gain muscle mass. So if you need to eat carbohydrates to gain muscle, of course you need to eat protein too. And carbohydrates will prevent breakdown of lean tissue. Improved endurance and performance. When you're properly fueled, you'll be able to train for longer durations and optimize your performance. And that's crucial when you're training for a race, like a triathlon or a marathon. It involves high volume endurance training. So some pre-workout snack ideas before your workouts. Maybe you want to have granola or cereal. And by cereal, I wouldn't eat junky cereal. I'd eat a high quality. If you're going to get a granola, make sure it's a granola that's organic. It has, and if it's sweetened, that it's sweetened with something like maple syrup or coconut sugar. So it's not excessively, so you're not eating poor quality carbohydrates. You can have a protein bar that has carbohydrates in it. You can have a banana or any dried fruit. You could also have fruit, not dried fruit. The thing is, if you take dried fruit can be helpful before a workout because it doesn't take up, you get the carbohydrates and it doesn't take up as much space in your stomach. And if you're thirsty, then you have room to drink. If you do real fruit, if you tolerate real fruit, that's fine. And if you're doing sweaty exercise, it's probably fine to eat real fruit. I mean, we will stuff grapes or cherries in our pockets during long bike rides and just eat them on the ride. You're sweating anyway, so you're not going to get an overfilled stomach from that, although you do have to be careful of that. But if you eat dried fruit, you can get your liquid from your water bottle as opposed to from the fruit, and you'll be able to drink what you need to drink. You can have something that's bready and have the bready thing with some nut butter on it, and perhaps some honey. Honey is a really good carbohydrate source as well. because honey has complex and simple carbohydrates, and it has flavonoids in it. So if you're going to do honey, of course, do local, real honey. Don't get crummy honey that's been pasteurized and processed. Get local honey, or even, unpasteurized honey. So if you struggle with GI discomfort or nausea when you eat before a workout, you can try liquid carbohydrate sources like sports drinks. They tend to be digested and absorbed more rapidly. So that your choice between fasted and fueled exercise will depend on your personal preferences, fitness and performance goals, and how your body responds to each approach. If your primary aim is fat loss, fasted workouts may be appropriate, but again, you're going to lose fat whatever kind of exercise you do. There's not really a difference in fat loss between fasted and non-fasted. What I do tell people is if people have high triglycerides, so triglycerides are the form that fat takes when it's the first storage form that fat takes when it's in your bloodstream. And if your triglycerides are too high, they can get damaged or oxidized, and then they can run around in your arteries and oxidize your arteries and cause cardiovascular disease. So how do you get high triglycerides? Usually from eating too much carbohydrate and not getting enough exercise. And fasted cardio is a way to reduce your triglycerides. However, again, if you're going to do cardio for longer than an hour, it's not a good idea to fast. If you're going to do a short, and also if your workout is less than an hour, but it's high intensity, also not a good idea to fast, because you're just not going to be able to perform. And remember, if you eat adequate carbs and calories, you're going to be able to work harder, perform better. You're going to maintain and even gain more muscle mass. And when you have more muscle mass, you're going to tend to lose more fat. So in the long run, you win if you fuel properly for the activity that you're doing. Now, if you're about to do a yoga class, I don't like to have a lot of stuff in my stomach before yoga. And yoga, I wouldn't say, unless you're doing Bikram or you're doing a high intensity yoga workout, which I generally don't do high intensity yoga workouts. The most I do is a moderate intensity vinyasa. And these days, while I'm surgically recovering, if I'm doing vinyasa, it's a very short practice. Otherwise, I'm doing yin and restorative yoga, so I'm not moving. I'm not moving a whole lot. Anyway, so if your workout is short, if your workout is not super intense, then you could consider fasting, but do make sure you drink water. Now, when I talk about fasting, one of the things we talk about, I have a handout that I give people on intermittent fasting. And one of the things about fasting is fasting doesn't mean nothing by mouth. And please listen to this, people who go for blood draws. When you're told to fast overnight, that doesn't mean don't drink water. In fact, please do drink water. Drink water overnight. Drink water in the morning, and carry water with you to the blood draw and keep drinking right up to the draw. Because if you're dehydrated, there's definitely some lab values that are going to be abnormal. And then your doctor may diagnose you with something, but it's only because you're dehydrated. So when I see some of those lab values, things like glomerular filtration rate, BUN and creatinine, changes in levels of elevated red blood cells, or elevated hemoglobin hematocrit, that's mild. I'm like, so did you drink before you went to the draw? No, they said no, to fast overnight. We always try to tell patients, please fast, but please drink water right up to the draw. And we encourage them to do that. So anyway, if you're trying to lose fat, you could try fasted exercise as long as it's low intensity. If you want to perform and you want to add muscle mass, then you have to eat something because you don't want to burn out your glycogen stores, and you don't want your body to start doing gluconeogenesis, where it's running around trying to break down lean tissue like muscle tissue so that and turn it into sugar so you have energy to do your workout. So, all right. So here's what I say in general. I'm in favor of fueling workouts in general and finding a carbohydrate source that works for you. If you're doing workouts and you find you have low energy and you even gain some weight, you're stressing yourself by not eating enough or the right macros before your workout. When your body feels like you're stressed, what does it do? It makes more cortisol. Cortisol's job is to run around your body, break down tissue, turn it into sugar so that you can run away from the bear, or do your workout, or do your taxes, or whatever it is that you're doing. And so if you so you don't want to stress your body. And who's more likely to be stressed by this? Women. So women, one of the things when we lower our carbohydrates, when we lower our intake, we also lower our leptin faster than men lower their leptin. So leptin is your satiety hormone and helps you to continue to burn fat. Our leptin goes down and our ghrelin goes up. And ghrelin is a hormone that makes you feel like you're hungry. So you'll have higher ghrelin when you reduce your calories too much. And if you eat too low carbohydrates, that's more likely to happen too. And so for women, if you read Stacy Sims, if you read Celine Yeager, if you read Marissa Axel, Marissa Axel's harder to find unless you're a cyclist, but Stacy Sims and Celine Yeager have written books and they have podcasts. So does Marissa Axel. But Marissa Axel is focused on women, and she's focused on peri-postmenopausal women, what she calls the forgotten athlete. And all three of these very wise women who are experts in nutrition and sports, they agree that you need to fuel your workouts properly, that you need to eat plenty of protein, and that you need to fuel your workouts before you do workouts. And Marissa Axel talks about how she's really not a fan of intermittent fasting for women because the studies on intermittent fasting were done on men. However, if you do want to exercise fasted before your workout, there are some things that doesn't mean nothing by mouth. What it means, you can absolutely have water. You can have water with Himalayan salt in it, or Celtic sea salt, or good quality salt in it. You can have water. You can have cinnamon. You can have any kind of herbs. So you can have water with any kind of herbs in it, including cinnamon. You can have coffee or tea as long as you don't put any creamer in it or sweetener. I mean, the sweetener you can put in stevia or monk fruit. The non-caloric natural sweeteners are fine. And you can also use stevia. You can also consume medium chain triglycerides, MCT oil, because MCT oil doesn't, it goes right into your stomach. You're absorbed in your stomach and it's used right away for energy. So you can consume MCT oil while you're considered to be on a fast. The other thing you can consume, because it doesn't contribute calories immediately. It does contribute energy. The other thing that you can have is bone broth, because you don't really burn bone broth. You consume bone broth, and it does have calories, but when you consume bone broth, the elements in the bone broth go directly to rebuilding tissue. So you can have bone broth, plain bone broth. It shouldn't have vegetables or anything else caloric in it. It has to be plain bone broth. It can be seasoned though. It can have onions and garlic, and it can have ginger and turmeric and things like that. But it shouldn't have actual vegetables or fruit or meat in it. It just should be the plain bone broth. But you can have that during a fast. So you can have that before your workout if you want to. So it doesn't mean nothing by mouth, and it doesn't mean having only water. You can have things besides water. You can also have herbal tea, green tea, black tea, coffee. You can have as long as they're not sweetened with caloric sweetener. And you can put MCT oil into them if you want to, and you can put any herbs you want to, including cinnamon, cardamom, whatever you like. All right. So then it's better to have the energy to work out harder than to reduce your carbs so that you dip into fat stores for energy. Ketogenesis will give you long sustained energy, but you will have no pep, and it will be harder to hit higher intensity goals such as faster speeds on the bike, running or swimming, or lifting heavier weights. You also want to feel good while doing your exercise. If you are underfueled, it will also affect your emotional experience of the workout, and you won't want to work as hard, and you won't look forward to your workouts. If you are adequately fueled, your workouts feel better. If you are dragging, you're going to have an emotional memory of feeling like you're dragging, and it's going to make you procrastinate before you work out. It's not worth it. So depending on what you're doing and how long you plan to be working out, it's a good idea to eat before you work out. And unless, as I said, unless those parameters, one more time we'll say the parameters, The workouts are under an hour in duration. They are a lower intensity workout like jogging, walking, or cycling, where the heart rate stays at below 50 to 60% of maximum capacity, or something like moderate or gentle or yin or restorative yoga, or your PT exercises if they're not too intense. And you know, as I said, if you want to do a cardio type workout, whether it's cycling or walking, as long as it's a gentle workout where you're not pushing yourself. When you're trying to lower fasted triglyceride levels, although this will probably happen anyway if you eat higher carbs to fuel properly and don't overdo poor quality carbs away from the workout. So that's when it's appropriate to do fasted or low carbohydrate workout. Otherwise, if you're trying to, basically, if you're trying to lose fat and or you have high triglycerides, you can work out fasted, but it has to be low intensity and of short duration. Otherwise, if it's high intensity, longer duration, you want to eat. And there you go. All right. So big shout out to Eric that was a good idea for a question, and I hope he enjoys it. All right. What in the heck are Senolytics? I saw an ad on TV for a Senolytic supplement, and I said, my goodness, I understand the word. First it means take a sip of water. Okay, Senolytic. So seno means aging. Lytic means it breaks it down. So a senolytic is something that's going to help you to age slower or less or not, I suppose. That's what a senolytic is. And so this product they were advertising on TV, you take maybe twice a month. I said, that's interesting. So I wanted to know what was in it. So I looked it up, and the product that they were advertising on TV was very expensive. And I found that you could get products with similar ingredients for less money. But so I'm not going to give you specific brands, but let me tell you what they are. And so the article I'm looking at now is a year old. So people have been thinking about Senolytics and I just heard of the term last month. It was in October. And now we're into November, my goodness. So in the 16th century, explorers set sail to find the Fountain of Youth, and they found it in St. Augustine, Florida, I guess. And I actually drank from the Fountain of Youth. And the Fountain of Youth has a lot of minerals in it, and has basically it has sulfur in it. I suppose I drank from the Fountain of Youth at Carson Hot Springs in Washington State also, because when you have hot springs, they often have sulfur in them and other minerals that are good for you. And sulfur is a great detoxifying mineral. So you can drink water from sulfur springs if you want to. You can also take things like MSM and glutathione, and you can just eat a diet that's rich in fruits and vegetables. And if you eat certain vegetables, they're going to have sulfur in them. And that's going to include things like onions and garlic, all the alliums, all of the lily family, your onions, garlics, chives, shallots, all those guys have isothiocyanates, that the thio part of the isothiocyanate is sulfur. So when you take things with sulfur, they help with detoxification. Also, you know how when you make Brussels sprouts, if you're not a fan of Brussels sprouts, when you cook them, they smell kind of sulfury. They kind of like rotten eggy. That's sulfur. That's hydrogen sulfide gas coming off of them. So all the cruciferous vegetables also bear sulfur. That's why they have a little bit of that eggy taste. Cabbage and broccoli and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts and various greens are also cruciferous. So your kale and your collards and bok choy and turnips, those are all cruciferous, as is maca. Maca is, Incan potato. That is a cruciferous vegetable as well. And they all have sulfur. Not all of your leafy greens are cruciferous. So arugula is. Mustard greens are. Anything in the mustard family, anything that's real spicy like that generally tends to be a cruciferous vegetable. But spinach is not. Spinach it's an amaranthaceae. It's the same family as quinoa and amaranth. And chard, I believe, Swiss chard is not, also not it's not a cruciferous vegetable. So some of your greens are and some of them aren't. Okay, so what is a senolytic? Senescent cells which are also called zombie cells, stop replicating over time and can be removed by the immune system, but otherwise don't die, but they pile up in the body, and with inflammation and other processes, they speed up aging and physical deterioration. So senolytics take aim at these cells. The hope is that they can prevent, stall, and treat many connected diseases of aging, from cancer to frailty, with a single treatment. That seems like a lot. So senolytic supplements like fisetin and quercetin. I've been taking quercetin a couple times a day for at least 5 years. I haven't been taking fisetin, and I'm going to start doing that. You can get those supplements. So when you get a senolytic supplement, it's probably going to have both fisetin and quercetin in it. It might also have resveratrol, and there's a few others it might have in it. So you can be tempted to see what they do for you. It would be wonderful to have increased energy and to age slower. But you have to be concerned about what you buy and make sure it's a good quality product if you get something like that. And of course, if you ask the conventional docs, they're going to say, don't even bother, because we don't have good reproducible studies on it. But in natural medicine, people are using senolytics, and I've been, I haven't been offering quercetin as a senolytic. I've been offering quercetin when people need to detox and they have increased immune globulin E, like I do. So that's why I take it. And the fisetin is just another. I didn't know what it was, but I'm going to give it a try. And this guy says that they could do more harm than good, and they're usually sold at lower doses than to be effective. So in other words, they're not effective and they could be more harmful. That's what you're going to hear from conventional docs, and could interfere with other medications. So if you're going to take a senolytic, of course, talk to your friendly local naturopath. You can talk to your physician if you want to, but talk to somebody who knows the science behind supplements. And somebody like me does, and any of your friendly local naturopathic physicians are going to know that. So if you're taking pharmaceutical medications, it is possible that if you take something that's too detoxifying, it's going to interfere with a drug that you may be taking. So, for example, I was going to take olmesartan, which is a blood pressure drug that is detoxified through the liver. So I stopped taking milk thistle because I was afraid that it would increase my detoxification of that. Because I'm taking lisinopril. Lisinopril isn't excreted through the liver. So I can take milk thistle if I want to, and I can take things that detoxify more readily, because lisinopril is not metabolized. The ACE inhibitors are not metabolized. They go in, they go through your kidneys, they do their thing, and they come out through your kidney, through your renal system, your urinary system. And so there are more questions than answers, according to this article. If you want to incorporate them, they could be very helpful for people with diabetes, osteoporosis, and skin or rheumatological diseases, because some drugs like metformin could be geroprotective. That's an interesting word. It's a protective against aging. And so manufacturing practices for senolytics, you have to make sure there's good research. And there is a doc that's studying a cocktail of senolytic drugs. So these are pharmaceuticals, investigating the safety. This is interesting. So I'm reading something from where they're talking about that. This is from Cedars-Sinai. Somebody's studying senolytic drugs, but telling you not to take senolytic supplements. Interesting. When the thing is, quercetin, I think, unless you have a particular reason not to take quercetin, or you have a particular problem with quercetin, it can be safe to try. Again, don't do anything I said without talking to a medical practitioner. This is my caveat, my disclaimer, and I say the disclaimer before and after, at the beginning and end of the podcast, to make sure that you understand that when you're listening to me, you're being educated, and this is food for thought, and it's for you to then go and talk one-on-one with your practitioner about your health and what is going on specifically with you. Okay. So, however, senolytics, so people are interested in senolytics. You want to treat diabetes, age-related diseases, and you want to live well now. Now you have to remember that fruits like apples and strawberries have anti-aging properties, that if you eat fruits and vegetables regularly, they have a lot of antioxidants in them, and as well as nuts and seeds and whole grains. So, and exercise also helps you to increase your lifespan. So you don't necessarily have to take a pill to slow down the aging process. Eating fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, clean protein, organic dairy if you tolerate it, animal protein if you tolerate it, can all be helpful for you, and whole grains if you tolerate them, and beans. So that's what they basically are. So here, let's talk about some senolytic supplements, some supplements that are actually senolytic. All right, so they are called they are also just called anti-aging supplements. And here's some good supplements. So first of all, curcumin. So curcumin, I am taking curcumin now. It's the main active ingredient in turmeric. It has very powerful cellular protective properties, and cellular senescence occurs when cells stop dividing, as we talked about. As we age, as those senescent cells accumulate, that can accelerate aging and disease, and that curcumin activates certain proteins that help delay cellular senescence and promote longevity. Curcumin can combat cellular damage and significantly increase lifespan, and this compound has been shown to postpone age-related disease and alleviate age-related symptoms as well. And it's when you consume turmeric, it's associated with reduced risk of age-related cognitive decline. So if you want, talk to your doc or practitioner about taking a curcumin supplement. You can also add turmeric as a spice to your food. It's part of curry. It can be found in lots of teas. You can very easily get tea with curcumin, with turmeric in it. So you can get often ginger turmeric tea or just plain turmeric tea. And you can have turmeric that you keep in a shaker bottle and just shake it onto your food if you want to. Then there's EGCG. So I am taking a green tea supplement. Epigallocatechin gallate is the main active antioxidant in green tea, and it has impressive health benefits. There's a reduced risk of certain cancers and heart disease when you consume it, and it may promote longevity and protect against age-related diseases. It may work by restoring mitochondrial function in cells and act on pathways involved in aging, and induces autophagy, which is the process by which your body removes damaged cellular material. And there's association between green tea intake and protection against aging skin, as well as reduced hyperpigmentation caused by ultraviolet light. So if you want to tan a little bit less, you can take green tea. If you want to drink enough green tea to make this happen, you have to drink 3 or 4 cups a day. And if you have a caffeine issue, which I do, you're not going to be able to do that. So this is one where if you want to take it regularly and you're not about to drink 3 or 4 cups of green tea a day, I'm good for a matcha latte, half a matcha latte. What does that even mean? Maybe 6 to 8 ounces of matcha latte a couple times a week. And that's all I can manage because I'm very sensitive to caffeine. So I have decided to take a green tea pill, and the green tea pill that I take is decaffeinated. And so that I don't get extra caffeine from it. And so then there's collagen, which I also take. The production of collagen that helps maintain skin structure slows, leading to accelerated signs of aging like wrinkles, and that if you supplement with collagen, it may reduce signs of aging like wrinkles and dry skin. There was a 12-week study of 72 women that showed that taking a collagen supplement with 2.5 grams, along with other ingredients like biotin, improves skin hydration, roughness, and elasticity. So you have to be careful because a lot of the studies are done by collagen companies. Then there's CoQ10, coenzyme Q10. Your body produces CoQ10, but you could also stand to have extra. CoQ10 levels decline as you age, so if you supplement with it, it helps to improve certain aspects of health as you get older. So if you take CoQ10 and selenium, it can improve your overall quality of life and can also, of course, benefit heart health. It helps to reduce blood pressure. It helps to maintain good heart health and helps to maintain good heart rhythm. Anyway, so shout out to Kevin, who's been listening, who got a dry cough from lisinopril, which happens. I get it a little bit, but not enough to make me not take it. And he's taking metoprolol now, and it works well for his blood pressure. Of course it does. Metoprolol is going to work well for your blood pressure, but it's what we call a sympatholytic, so it really can slow you down. It can slow down your heart rate and make it so that it's hard for you to hit your heart rate when you're exercising. But if you take metoprolol and your life is good, you should take it. It's okay. But I would not be able to take it. It would make me dizzy and slow me down. I mean, I'm only able to take a low dose of the lisinopril, even though my blood pressure is not optimal. That's why I need to work on the sugar and caffeine deal and make sure I eat really healthy and do my stress reduction and do other things to reduce my blood pressure. Okay, so that was coenzyme Q10. Vitamin C. Vitamin C, you can take it in pills and you can certainly eat it. It's easy to get vitamin C in foods as long as you eat produce. And yes, it's in citrus, but it's also in apples and pears. Most fruit that you eat has vitamin C in it. All your berries, they're going to have vitamin C. Black currants have vitamin C. Peppers of all kinds have vitamin C in it. And you could take vitamin C pills if you want to. It's a powerful antioxidant, protects cells from oxidative damage, plays important roles in immune function, inflammation and regulation, and other processes essential to healthy aging. So you want to maintain an optimal intake of this vitamin to support health and protect against age-related conditions. There was a study in 80 adults with an average age of 60. Those with higher blood levels of C perform better on tasks involving attention, focus, memory, decision-making, recall, and cognition. Vitamin C is essential for skin health. Supplementing can improve skin hydration, stimulate collagen production, and safeguard against wrinkle development and premature aging due to sun exposure. Some evidence suggests that supplementing with vitamin C improves immune function in older adults. And as older adults have a higher risk of suboptimal deficiency, you want to consider taking supplements, especially if you're not eating enough fruits and vegetables. So I take it anyway, even though I do eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. All right. Then there's vitamin E. Has an important role in immune function, the regulation of inflammation. Research has shown that vitamin E can help decrease free radicals and oxidative stress, and can help protect against type 2 diabetes and colitis, plus can reduce cognitive decline in older adults. But the vitamin E studies are on animals. And remember, when you take vitamin E, you do not want to take D-alpha tocopherol or D-L-alpha tocopherol. You want to take vitamin D that has tocotrienols in it, or just plain tocotrienols. That's what I take, and that's what I recommend. You get more oxidative stress with D-alpha tocopherol, D-L-alpha tocopherol. So you want to take something that has that has tocotrienols in it. All right, and then there's L-theanine. I take all of these things. L-theanine is an amino acid also concentrated in tea, green tea, black tea. Anything from the Camellia sinensis plant is going to have theanine in it. And that if you supplement with L-theanine, it can improve your brain function. Wow, so that's another reason I can think good. All right. So there was an animal study that found that L-theanine can have protective properties against Alzheimer's disease and promote healthy aging. It's an antioxidant and has liver protecting effects. It's anti-inflammatory, can help reduce liver aging. So those are some great anti-aging supplements. Here's some more. I'm taking a lot of these. It's so interesting. I'm taking rhodiola. Rhodiola is anti-inflammatory. It may help to promote longevity. It's good for the immune system. It's good for energy. It's good for mood. It's good for supporting thyroid function. Astragalus. This is the first thing on this list that I'm not taking. It's a stress-reducing herb that's used in traditional Chinese medicine and can help combat aging by reducing oxidative stress, promoting immune function, and preventing cellular damage. Then there's Visitin, which I'm going to start taking. It's a flavonoid compound that's considered a xenotherapeutic. It can kill senescent cells. Rodent studies suggest it may extend lifespan and protect against brain aging. Resveratrol. So I'm not taking that right now, and I may restart. It's a polyphenol antioxidant from grapes, berries, peanuts, and red wine that may promote longevity by activating certain enzymes called sirtuins. and there's indication that resveratrol may have anti-aging properties. Then there's sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is in your cruciferous vegetables. It's powerfully anti-inflammatory, increases the lifespan of roundworms, and prevents age-associated heart problems in mice. So eating your cruciferous vegetables is a good idea. What do we say? Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, various leafy greens such as collards and kale and mustard greens and turnips themselves, and cabbage. Those are all cruciferous vegetables. Then there's nicotinamide riboside mononucleotide, and that's something that's known to be a senolytic. It's in your senolytic supplements, and they're precursors to nicotinamide adenine nucleotide, which declines with age. And NMN supplements can increase telomere length. So telomeres. So what's a telomere? You want to have long telomeres if you want to not age or appear to not be aging. Telomere. So when your cells reproduce, all the chromosomes stretch out in a line and line up. So what the telomere is, at the end, either end of that stretched out cell of all the chromosomes, there's a protective protein at either ends. It's kind of like when you have shoelaces, you have that little plastic bit that protects the ends so it doesn't fray. Well, the longer those protective ends are, the more protection you get for those chromosomes. So the chromosomes are less likely to break. Anything that's under the telomeres is going to be more likely to stay intact. So I'm assuming I have long telomeres. That's why I have, reasonably good skin for a 61-year-old person. So this NAD plus or NMN supplements can help to increase your telomere length. Then there's crocin, which was made by Jim Croce. I'm just kidding. It's a yellow carotenoid pigment that's in saffron, and saffron can be found in senolytic supplements. And saffron, of course, can be pricey. It's used in Indian Spanish cuisine, and it's shown that crocin offers a lot of health benefits. It's anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, anti-anxiety, antidepressant, anti-diabetes. You can give it to people who have PMS, and it helps them, and can also protect against age-related cognitive decline. So if you want to follow a healthy diet and lifestyle, and you want to take a few anti-aging supplements, you could do that if you want to, and see if it is helpful to you. I have chosen to go the route of taking supplements. I like to experiment on myself, and I also promote supplements in my practice, so I find that interesting. So that is all we have time for today, and we're going to go back to talking about naturopathic help for menorrhagia, excessive menstrual bleeding, next week. So meanwhile, I'm going to let you go. You have been listening to Radio Naturopath, the talk show about health and natural medicine. I am Fran Storch, ND, naturopathic physician. You can email me with questions and comments at radionaturopath@gmail.com. If you'd like to listen to the show at another time, you can check out our podcast at whus.org, iTunes, Spotify, Patreon, Buzzsprout, and YouTube. You may also watch the recorded Facebook Live episode at Fran Storch, ND. The views expressed on this program do not reflect the views of the staff, management, or licensee of this station. The information presented on the show should not be construed as medical advice or direction. If you're having a medical condition, please consult with your physician. Thank you for listening to Radio Naturopath, your show where you can learn about the best of science and nature. We'll be back with more Radio Naturopath next week at 91.7 FM, WHUS stores, and WHUS.org.